Never a doubt, Rube. Never a doubt.
I had some doubts. I had some very serious doubts, but they found a way. And 5-0 is better than 4-1. It was ugly. There wasn't really anything they did well. When you look at the way the Eagles played, I thought Arizona played pretty well, and the Eagles didn't, and the Eagles got a win. So 5-0, and you'll take it. But there's a lot to work on here.
Yeah, there is a lot to work on. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Cowboys week is officially here. It's exciting. We're going to take a look at this game in particular, though, and some of the struggles they had offensively, defensively, and also we want to take a real close look at the end of this game, which is really what won it for them. But Rube, overall, I mean, you said it, like they didn't really do anything super well in this game. At times they did, but overall, I mean, they could have very well lost this game.
Yeah, and I thought it started out great. I mean, you're up 14-0 early in the second quarter. Everything's going well. I mean, they were shutting down Arizona. They were moving the sticks on offense, getting in the end zone. You're up 14-0, and they scored. They got 2 field goals after that. The rest of the game, their last 6 possessions were 2 field goals and 4 punts. Mm-hmm. Not ideal, but it was kind of one of those just kind of you keep looking at the clock, hoping it'll get down to zeros before Arizona. They got some breaks, but good teams, it's a sign of a good team when you can kind of just grind one out and on a day when nothing's really going right, you can kind of find a way at the end, and they did that with some help.
They're 5-0 and they haven't played a perfect game yet.
They really haven't, and they're going to need to on Sunday night because Dallas is coming in. They're playing really well, but you'd like to see him put one of those together where they play well on both sides of the ball for 60 minutes. So they haven't done that.
Yeah, the closest they got was Minnesota, I think. But I mean, yeah, right now, I mean, this game was pretty ugly. Offensively, you mentioned it; they started to stall. Defensively, I know they only gave up 17 points. It felt like that wasn't a very good defensive performance. Arizona moved the ball up and down on them. Missed tackles became an issue. I thought schematically they were giving up too much. I didn't like what I saw from either side of the ball, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Third down, they were terrible. It seemed like they kept getting Arizona in third and longs, and Kyler would just find somebody open for like 7 yards, and the guy would run 5 yards for the first down. I think he was one for 5.
3rd and 17 was
that was terrible.
That was awful. That can't happen.
That just can't happen. He was on his last 8 third down throws were completed, and 6 of them were for 10 yards or more. And yeah, I mean, it was the same kind of tackling we saw in the second half of the Detroit game. It was just bad. I don't get it because this team has tackled so well the last few weeks. But I mean, in the end, they escaped, I guess is the word. They escaped Glendale with a win. But and I agree, 17 points. If you can hold a team to 17 or fewer, you're happy. But there wasn't they got one takeaway early, 1 sack. Reddick had it was a big one. It was a big sack on third down, but. Won a lot of big plays on defense. Way too many guys running open. They don't have an elite wide receiving core. And I thought that was a real advantage. I really like that matchup between the Eagles secondary with the way they're playing and Arizona's receivers. And man, they just kept finding. Kyler just kept finding. It was one of Kyler's best games up until the last few seconds. At least physically, it was one of his best games in a long time. I thought he threw the ball really well after a slow start. Obviously, the pick was bad, but he used all his weapons. He found open guys, and he took advantage of the weaknesses he saw in the secondary. Eagles just had the right kicker.
Yeah, they did. They had Dicker, the kicker. Found out that nickname comes from his 7th grade teacher, Mr. Gonzalez.
Science teacher.
Yeah,
7th grade science teacher. I love that. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, and he was huge. And you little tip of the cap to Howie for finding the right kicker, because Eagles could have easily ended up. I mean, Amendola was there before, but you could end up so easily with a guy who just doesn't respond to the situation.
The Cardinals never called Dicker. I mean, the Cardinals picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, Eagles picked the right guy, a guy who never kicked in the league. So everything Howie has touched, I think you wrote about this earlier in the week or last week. Everything he's touched has turned to gold. He's got the Midas touch this year, and Cameron Dicker will most likely never play another snap for the Eagles, but he really helped them big time win a game.
He helped them, and he helped himself. He's probably going to end up
got some good film. He's going to get somebody. Next time a team needs a kicker, he's going to be first on their list. He was our MVP today.
Yeah. And let's get into the end of the game though, because the Eagles they got the ball with what 9:47,
9:43,
9:43 on the clock, and they're just running the ball.
Which they hadn't done the whole game.
And you're watching it going, oh, are they trying to end this with like a 10-minute drill? It's something you don't see very often. They ended up killing 7:58 off the clock, which is their second longest drive of the Nick Sirianni era. You give them credit.
Plays.
Yeah, you give them credit for that. I mean, they didn't get it in the end zone, and that stings. And Jalen Hurts talked about that at length, that he wants to be able to win the game there. He doesn't want to leave it up to the kicker or leave it up to the defense to get a stop. He wants to get them in the end zone. They didn't do that, and it was dangerous. I mean, could have been a pick in the end zone.
I hated that. I hated that play from start to finish.
Yeah, it didn't quite make sense.
Because when you have the ball for 8 minutes and 17 plays and you're hammering a run, I mean, the running backs had more yards on that drive than in the rest of the game combined. So it was such an advantage there. So you have third and goal at the 5. Run the ball in that situation, unless I didn't mind the idea of throwing. I didn't like the play call. Well, I didn't like either.
Yeah, the play call to me didn't make sense. I don't mind them throwing there because
if you think you have something,
well, they're selling out on the run at that point.
Yeah, I thought they had such an advantage. I thought they'd worn Arizona down. I thought the Cards D-line was gassed. Miles was running well. Gainwell was running well. I would have taken my chances with any of those 3 guys running the ball, even Hurts. I just didn't like it. I just thought dance with who brung you there. And I'm like the last guy in the world to like, you got to run the ball more. But in that situation, when you've done it, that's what got you down there. You're having success with it. I'm just looking here at the play-by-play.
So let me bring it here though. So it's 3rd and 5 on the Arizona 5. You're running it. Are you going for it on 4th? Because if you're not going for it on 4th, why are you running it?
Well, if you run it, you're also running the clock, giving Arizona
That's true.
Time.
That's true.
Or making them burn what I think would have been their last time out.
But do you go for it on 4th?
Probably not, unless it's like inches.
Okay. So in that case, I wouldn't run the ball because you want to give your offense a chance to get in the end zone. And not saying you couldn't do it on 3rd and 5 with a run.
I just thought their best chance to win the game there was running the ball and not throwing it. That's just how I felt before the play. Yeah,
we disagree on that, but whatever. The play didn't work. It was scary. It did hit Quez. I mean, he had a chance at it.
Yeah.
Risky throw.
That's not his game. Like, he's not. I mean, Devontae is a physical. AJ Brown's physical. But
AJ was there. You throw the ball, AJ. It's short of the goal line, but he has a chance to push it in.
Yeah. He was right in front of Quez. At first, I thought he overthrew it to AJ, but I just don't think. Look, I thought they really made an effort to get Quez involved. That's not his game. That's just not his strength. Is muscling a D-back. But that as it may,
lines up 28 yarder,
23 yards,
23 yarder. It was the longest time, like in real time, between kicks I've seen in a long time, because you had the Arizona player got hurt, and then it's just taking forever. Dicker's warming up. He's coming back. He's walking all over the field. It was a long time for a rookie kicker in a huge situation to think about it. And it's a short kick, but still, the pressure's got to be mounting there.
Yeah, he's weird. Like, it doesn't seem like anything bothers him. And I don't know if that
got that sense too.
He was telling us at his locker on Friday, like he was never a football fan. He went to obviously Zach Berman knows that his high school and Nick Foles' high school were rival high schools in Austin, and he was like a teenager when Nick Foles led the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 17. And he was asked about that. He's like, I don't know. I know who Nick, I've heard the name, but I don't really follow that stuff. And he's like, yeah, I grew up in China. I'm a Premier League fan. I'm Liverpool. He got really excited talking about Liverpool. Mm-hmm. I just think it's like he's so removed from what it all means and how important it is. And just, you're kind of born and raised like, oh, last second kick. It's just like I'm going out and kicking a football. It didn't. And I think that's not a bad thing. But, you can tell his first PAT, he crushed it. Mm-hmm. And he just looked really comfortable right from the get-go. And, I mean, the 42-yarder was a really big kick, and he crushed that one. So, I don't know. Maybe save some cap money and cut Elliott. It's just a joke. But he was really impressive because, like you said, mentally – the guy can make a kick, but just the mental toughness he showed was really impressive.
Yeah, I agree with you. He did something I've never seen before. Before the game, he was warming up. He was kicking the width of the field.
Really?
Yeah, he was like kicking it into the Cardinals bench. They were like, what the heck's going on?
So that's how new he is to football. He doesn't even know which way to kick.
It was real strange. But credit to him. And then after that, game's not over. The Eagles killed a lot of clock. They hit a field goal, but
there's 145 left.
145 left. No timeouts for Arizona, but they start moving the football, and you're thinking, uh-oh, they might walk out of here with a win.
Yeah, I mean, their first play from the 25 is, they don't even have Connor. He's out of the game, and Kyler goes 15 yards on the very first play. Now they're at the 40, so now you're thinking, all right, they're going to tie it. I mean, there's still a minute and a half left. But they made some plays. Ertz caught a couple balls on that drive. Kyler did what he had to do. He got the ball,
until the biggest blunder we've seen in a while.
I just, and you talk about, see, that's a thing that Jalen Hurts would never do.
Well, in Kyler's, what am I looking for here?
Defense.
In Kyler's defense, thank you. The scoreboard here showed first down. He thought he had a first down.
Oh, really?
That's what I think happened. The scoreboard operator put up that it was a first down, and I guess he's got to make sure. But in his head, I haven't seen whatever he said after the game, but it looked like he thought, okay, I got a first down. Then you do obviously spike the ball to stop the clock, but someone's got to alert you to know, like, this is now 3rd and 1. You spike it, it's 4th down. We got to kick a field goal.
Yeah. Well, I thought he goofed by sliding as early as he did, and he's got to know the rule that once you start sliding, and he ended up 1 yard short of the first down. He ended up it was an 8 yard. It was a 8 yard. Oh gosh,
9.
Was it? Yeah.
9 yards. It was
9 yards.
He gained 9 yards.
Thank you.
Got to the Philly 25.
But there was room for him to run another yard and get the first down because whether he knew it was first down or not on the next play, he knew where the sticks were. And that's kind of a rookie mistake, starting your slide before the sticks, because they're going to mark it right where you start your slide. And they did. Yeah. And then he spiked it on 3rd and 1. And they showed Matt Amendola, they showed a montage of him on the broadcast missing like 5 field goals wide right in warm-ups pregame.
Oh, really? From that area?
From that area, yeah. And it wasn't a super long kick. What was it, 43?
Yeah. About the same distance that Dicker made.
42, yeah. Essentially the same kick. I wasn't even that surprised when he missed it. I don't know what you were thinking, but it just seemed
I was thinking, I got a red eye. He better miss this kick. I got to make my flight.
Yeah, they'd still be playing. But honestly, if that game went overtime, you never know what happens. But, I mean, Arizona had some momentum.
Definitely.
I guess you could say the Eagles had momentum after that long drive, but the Eagles hadn't really done anything since early in the second quarter. They only scored 6 points in the second half. Second halves continue to be a problem, but got out of there with a win.
Hey, and look, I realize we're being a little negative, and there's more negativity coming because we're going to get into both sides of the football. But ultimately, look, they did what they needed to do. And sometimes you're going to win some ugly games. It happens.
Right. Yep.
You're right. I mean, you said it. The mark of a good team is sometimes winning these types of games.
And one thing I thought they did, I thought they were physical. They missed some tackles, but I thought they were physical to the end. And that last drive, which I thought was going to end it, I mean, it kind of, the way the script is, that drive ends up in a touchdown, and you're up 7, and then they throw a pick and the game's over. But they were really physical on that last drive, and I would have liked to see more of that. I thought Shane got away from the run too early. But yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, hey, a win's a win is a win a win.
Exactly.
Something like that, right?
Now boarding Dave Zangaro's flight at Gate 3, Terminal 6. Hey, you deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Rube, offensively, didn't like the game plan. It was strange for a lot of different reasons. This defense is going to blitz you quite a bit. That's what they're known for. And it looked like the Eagles weren't prepared for that for some reason. There was the one big third down. Jalen Hurts checked to a play and got it to Dallas Goedert because he saw the blitz was coming. But, I mean, this is what Vance Joseph is known for. And their idea to beat it was throw a bunch of screens, throw a bunch horizontally. And I was waiting for, like, all right, all these screens are setting up a shot, right? Like, the shot's coming. The shot never came.
Never came. Never took a shot. I thought they had such an advantage with their outside receivers and the Cards D-backs, but just never really tried to take advantage of it. That really surprised me. I didn't get that. Everything was they're trying to use obviously the perimeter of the field, and they made some plays that way, but the Cards blitz more than any team in the league. I believe it's 44% this year.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. So I don't know how you're not prepared for that. It's coming.
Yeah, and they ran so much 12 personnel, even 13 personnel in this game. And the problem with that is that they take A.J. Brown off the field. We'll see his snap counts in the morning, but it felt like he didn't play enough. He didn't get on the field until like 8 snaps in.
I thought it was a fifth snap. Yeah.
I mean, it was a long time. He wasn't on the field for a lot of that game. I mean, if your game plan doesn't include A.J. Brown, figure out a new game plan.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm just looking here. I don't believe he had a catch after halftime. You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he had all those catches on that. Like, they put him on the field. They threw his way. I think he had 3 for – I have it in front of me here.
42.
Yeah.
And didn't catch a pass after that. He's your best player,
right?
He's got. I mean, him and Goddard. Obviously, they like to match up with Goddard, and he got involved. But yeah, that did make sense to me.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of curious. Look, the offensive line held up. It wasn't great all the time, but I mean, they're down. They had 3 injuries at one point on the offensive line. You had an offensive line out there with Jack Driscoll at left tackle. You had Suapeta at left guard, Cam Jurgens at center, Samalu at right guard, and Lane at right tackle. I mean,
Samalu wasn't healthy.
He had an ankle injury all week. Yeah,
he was dealing with an ankle. We heard Kelsey say he wasn't even healthy today. So I'll tell you what, seeing Kelsey hobble off the field, I'm thinking, all right, he'll probably miss the Dallas game. Then you have the bye, so he should be okay for Pittsburgh. He comes out in the second half. In the first play of the second half, he's pulling, and he blows away the linebacker, Collins. I think it was Collins. Annihilates him, and Miles runs 15 yards behind Kelsey.
Seeing Kelsey run out of the tunnel with his helmet on, Jack Driscoll said, he's like, if that doesn't pump you up, like, you don't have a pulse.
That was like it means so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and Kelsey admitted after the game, he's like, I'm a little dramatic sometimes, so maybe it wasn't as bad as it was. No, if Jason Kelsey's walking right into the locker room, it's not fun. I mean, that hurts. Whatever he's going through hurts. And to see him come back and battle through it gives such a boost to his team. And even Landon Dickerson, he had to leave by the end, but he came back in too and
played well.
So it's like if Kelsey doesn't come back in, maybe Landon doesn't come back in. And that's not a knock on Landon, but that's like, man, if this guy's trying to play through this,
right,
I'm going to get out there too.
And that's what leadership is. I mean, it's rah-rah stuff sometimes, but that's leading by examples. Like, and it kind of goes into what I wrote about Saturday. Just there's a certain toughness that this team has that really gives them an edge, because toughness doesn't go into slumps. Toughness doesn't have a bad day. If you're a tough team and the aggressor physically, you can make up for subpar play, which I think they did at times today. And Kelsey certainly sets the tone for that, as well as Lane and BG and Fletch, both lines I think do that. So, he said he's getting an MRI tomorrow, so hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, low ankle sprain, so that's good news.
Yeah.
We'll see. If he can be out there next week, he's obviously going to be out there.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing him miss a snap is shocking.
It is, and he had to come out earlier. He had to get checked for a concussion. It was on the the one play on the goal line.
Yeah,
he said he was slow to get up because there were bodies on top of him, and they flagged it. They made him get checked out.
On those plays, there tends to be a pile of human flesh on top of you.
Yeah, and it's true. And hey, they flagged it and they got him checked out, which is what is supposed to happen.
Yeah,
and maybe the NFL will really start doing that now.
Hope so.
But it was good to see him come back in. They need him next week too.
Yeah, and we'll talk about next week. But, I just thought offensively they never got into a rhythm. Their last 6 drives, they had 2 field goals. That's it.
Shane really has had such a good knack for play calling this year. I didn't feel like that on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he really was unable to get Jalen into a rhythm. You saw Kyler Murray get into a rhythm more than Jalen. Especially in the second half, he just started finding guys, and I don't know what it was. I thought Miles was underutilized until that last drive. He had half his carries in the game on that last drive. And Gainwell didn't play until the last drive. I still think Jalen's running too much, taking too many hits. Look, he's such a weapon at the goal line and 4th and goal, 4th and 1. I get that, and I'm okay using him there, but I mean, the guy's 15 carries. He's getting like 15 to 20 carries every week. It's too many. They got to find a way to work on that. I'm not sure how.
I mean, that's what makes him good.
It is, but he took some shots. He took some shots today.
Yeah.
And 17 games of this, 20 games of this, whatever it comes out to, just, you kind of hold your breath. And it's a tough thing because you don't want to take away what makes him so dangerous, but I just also think there has to be some time. Like some of the called runs, I think Kyler had 2 called runs. And maybe that's not enough for Jalen, but they were effective. He got out of bounds. He moved the sticks. I just think 15 carries. Yeah, he's had 2 games with 17. It's too much. Just my gut reaction.
Yeah, he took a few shots, but for the most part, he still does a pretty good job of avoiding them.
You know what the problem is? He's so competitive that if he sees the sticks, I mean, he'd rather take on 3 defenders than go down short of the first down. And I admire that, but I just think it takes a toll, and I just worry about him.
Yeah, I get that. He is such a tough runner, though. He's not a fragile QB.
No, he's not.
If Kyler takes those shots, it's a different story.
Yeah, but can he take 17 games of that? That's my question. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You want to talk about defense?
Yeah.
Didn't love this game plan.
Same.
I mean, it felt like they weren't aggressive enough. And you kind of let them, especially on third downs, and aggressive, like we've talked about, doesn't mean like blitz. It means play a little tighter in coverage, blitz on occasion. It felt like this Jonathan Gannon reverted to previous Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, and maybe the thinking was if we play them straight up, they can't beat us. I don't know. Obviously, you're really concerned with Kyler getting out and making off schedule plays. It looked like Kaiser spied him a lot
Mm-hmm.
and prevented that. But when you do that, when you
Which is
spy
why, I
somebody,
mean, that shows the athleticism of Kaiser. That was a good
it
move.
does. But also when when you're spying, you're taking somebody out of coverage,
It's true.
and Kyler was able to make plays against that, and there seemed like there was a guy running free, whether it was Brown or Moore or Ertz, for big plays. What did Kyler average per completion? It had to be like close to 10. I'll figure it out. But just too many big plays, too many chunk plays.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought, they can't score on us if we get them down in the red zone. But yeah, I felt like they didn't play well. You'll take 17 points, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Yeah.
TJ Edwards had a rough game.
A lot of missed tackles. He's
Missed
been playing
tackles.
so well.
Yeah, they were trying to get him in coverage at times, and it worked. CJ Gardner-Johnson had the pick, but was giving up some plays in coverage too.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, 17 points, so I don't want to kill them, but they have room for improvement there.
Yeah, didn't give any big, like no plays over 30 yards, and Arizona doesn't. That's not their game. I think they have one play of 30 yards all year. It was 30 yards. They don't play longer than that. So maybe the thinking was keep it all in front of us, and once they get in the red zone, we like the matchups. But the defense just didn't do anything really well. They didn't pressure. They didn't stop the run. That's really concerning, is the run defense. I mean, especially after Connor left the game, they still had 124 yards and averaged almost 5 yards a pop.
Yeah.
What are Pollard and Zeke going to do? That matchup worries me.
Yeah, I get that.
They should be better against the run than they are. I don't quite get that. With that front.
Yeah, that's fair. My favorite play of this game defensively was Josh Sweat keeping up on that double reverse. That is crazy fast for a 6'5" defensive end to get out there and force them that far wide.
Yeah.
That was fun. Jordan Davis had a few really nice run stuffs inside.
He did.
Hassan had that big sack on third down. He has 4.5 sacks in his last 3 games.
Yeah, and it was the only sack. I thought
they could have had another one. Sweat missed him.
Yeah, he had a shot at him. I thought they were going to have like 4 or 5 sacks today. I really did, because that Cards O-line is banged up.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the guys that played, I know Pugh's been on the injury report. I believe Humphreys was on the injury report, and they both didn't practice earlier in the week. But yeah, they didn't seem to blitz much, missed tackles. The one takeaway early, CJ, GJ, they just didn't do anything. Yeah. I'm curious to see the snap counts and see how much Jordan Davis played. I saw Milton Williams leave the game. Did he come back in?
He came back in, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jordan play a little more, but we'll see what the snap counts say.
Yeah, it
overnight.
felt like he
I'm
did.
sure you'll tweet them out from your flight.
I'm going to try to sleep on that flight.
One thing I miss about going to the games is, like, Dave and I would always be on the same flight coming home from road games, and like we always ended up sitting near each other. And I'd sit down, I get my laptop as soon as we reached a comfortable cruising altitude, start doing stats and writing my transcribing, writing my stories. I look over every time every time, man. I can't sleep on planes.
So I'm a good sleeper on planes, and I've learned about myself that I am better off getting good sleep on the plane working when I land. I'm more effective that way.
Yeah, I think I just like getting it done. I think it helps. If I'm working, it makes the time go faster, because I can't sleep on flights.
See, I can. I've trained myself to I get on a plane and I'm falling asleep now.
Yeah, well, that's a good skill to have.
It is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to talk about. Donovan was in the locker room after the game.
Saw that.
Good to see.
He lives in Arizona.
Yeah. Him and Jalen were chopping it up. John Dorenbos was around.
Yeah.
Good to see John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of.
That's all I got.
A lot of
Nice stadium here. This is my first time here at this stadium.
first time the Eagles have ever won in that building.
Yeah.
They haven't won in Arizona, I think, since 2001 in Sun Devil down on ASU's campus. And 8 straight home losses for the Cards, which is a little surprising. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, that is weird.
I want to touch on the Cowboys real quick.
Yeah, it's a tough game next week. How about this hype train is going to be fun next week. Cowboys week before the bye.
Primetime night game, national TV game. You start out with, the Giants go to 4-1 in the morning. I guess a game that kicked off at 6:30 your time. Did you have breakfast?
At what point do I have to say that? Like, at what point do I have to admit that the Giants don't stink? Because I still think they stink
today.
Yeah.
Defensively, their offense is it's ridiculous. It's like Daniel Jones completes 8 passes and runs 10 times, and Saquon runs 30 times and has 2 big plays, and they win. Saquon's like 1-1-1 -1 2 146. But they've gotten to 4-1. Their defense is fast and athletic and physical, and they're really well coached for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, that coaching staff is covering up some of the roster deficiencies for sure.
Yeah, they don't scare me as far as the long term, but Dallas, to go 4-0 with Cooper Rush, be interesting to see what happens there. See if maybe they trade Dak. Dak's going to play. Sorry?
Yeah, it's crazy. Is Dak back next week? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If I'm the Eagles, I'd rather face Dak, honestly. Cooper Rush
in his first game back,
yeah, hasn't thrown a pick in 4 games. But they're winning because of their defense, which they really get after the quarterback. You know how they rush the passer and they run the ball. Pollard.
The Eagles need Jordan back next week. Mailata.
I was going to say Jordan Howard.
No, well, he's available too.
He is. They need a healthy O-line. It's a tough game
on the edges. Yeah.
And the thing is, the Eagles have just struggled against that team. I wrote about it a few weeks ago. I think these 2 games are going to decide the season. The 2 Dallas games. They haven't swept them in 11 years. Haven't swept them since Kelsey's rookie year.
Wow.
And they've lost 4 of their last 5 at home to Dallas. And, one of them was a meaningless game, but you don't want to give up. You don't want to lose to your arch rival anywhere, anytime, any stadium. So it's huge. And honestly, the Cowboys have been impressive. They're more impressive today probably than the Eagles.
Yeah, that's fair. It's going to be a fun week. I can't wait to have this, getting the hype train this week is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. You got anything else before we wrap this up?
No, safe travels home.
Thank you. I did go on a hike.
How was that?
Saturday. It was incredible. Went to Lost Dutchman State Park. I woke up this morning. I felt like I got hit by a bus. My legs are not doing so well right now.
Really? A lot of hills, a lot of hilly rocks.
It was 3 miles out and back hike. The first 2 miles were a breeze. The last mile, straight up rock scramble. And it was a lot.
How was the view from up there?
Pretty great. I'll send you some photos. All right, that's it. Let's wrap this up. If you enjoyed the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We'll be back with you guys Tuesday and Thursday, getting ready for the big game against the Cowboys. That's all for Reuben. I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.